Welcome to the Tech and Ed Podcast, the only podcast to cover the geek side of EdTech. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining. My name is Mohammed, and I have my co-host with me, Tamer. And today we're going to be talking about the world's breaking news.
Bum, bada, bum, bum, bum.
Coronavirus. Even though I'm pretty tired of talking about it.
Yeah.
I think it's a topic we need to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so what'd you do this week? Coronavirus. What'd I do this week? Coronavirus. Right? Okay, there's your weekly update. I mean, let's just get right into it, man, because there's a lot to talk about. A lot of things happened in the past couple of days here in New Jersey, specifically, and how is this really affecting education and what's going on out there? So, I mean, obviously, I think it's a no-brainer. Everyone knows and has heard about this coronavirus outbreak, and the media is definitely, informing everyone of what's going on and keeping them informed on the global level. But how is this affecting education and what's going on?
And specifically for this podcast, what do technology departments do now?
Yeah. So, well, New Jersey just declared a state of emergency today. Well, no, not today. Yesterday, rather, right?
I believe so.
Yesterday. So New Jersey just declared a state of emergency yesterday. And what does that entail? See, I was confused because I heard usually when we hear state of emergency, we hear it around like major weather conditions, right? And we're already either closed or no, we're closing, but we're in a state of emergency, but we're still open. I think a lot of school districts are still open. I know some universities and state colleges have started to begin the plan of closing post spring break and things like that. But what does it mean for public schools? What is being asked, Mo?
So, state of emergency for the state specifically just gives the governor and local officials a little bit more power, a little bit more resources, a little bit more freedom to kind of do whatever they have to do in this scenario. So for schools specifically, that means if the commissioner or if the health department or whatever party deems responsible to shut down the schools, they have that capability of doing that. So, with that being said, I think it's important to remember, we're receiving information day by day. Mm-hmm. As far as I know today or to date, is schools can't just shut down on their own basis of wanting to close school. This has to come from federal, state, or local health departments that have to say, we have to close offices, we have to close schools, we have to close, all public offices and make sure everything is shut down. So I know a lot of people are, why don't schools close? They could just do this, they could do that. Really, the decision if to shut down isn't completely on us in order to make sure those days count, right? Yeah, that's the most important part, because if you start closing school and those days don't count, you might be going into July, and nobody wants to be in a classroom all the way into July. And I think everyone is, playing it day by day and really trying to consume everything that's coming at us and making sure we're making smart decisions.
Yeah.
So, again, it's state, local health, state, or your local health departments that can really deem, and then you need to also make sure that you have to have some type of plan in place for educating these students for the days to count.
Yes.
I know some schools have decided, we're going to close a day and do a thorough cleaning, and that's on the district. That's on them. They can decide to do that, but that day doesn't count. That's the same as a snow day, or if there's like an emergency or, weather or something. That day doesn't count. That goes towards their bank of snow days that they allotted for that year.
Right.
So, a lot of people have been asking about that. That's as far as from what I've heard. And again, things may change day by day. We're in a state of emergency, so power, shifts all the time, and who can make that decision changes.
Yeah. So, I think the key thing is that, yes, as a local district, if you're making that choice to close, right, it is definitely counting against you.
Yes.
It doesn't go towards that mandated 180 days of instruction. So that's the first thing. So districts that now, what's fortunate about that is that we have had a very, very, very light winter, right? So I'm sure a lot of school districts have their snow days that they can fall on a little bit to do and close for those deep cleanings and things like that. But if
In
you
northern Jersey, we had a light. I don't know about, well, if there is a central Jersey, but South Jersey, South Jersey, I don't know if how their winter has been. I know the state sometimes South Jersey might get hit a little bit harder than us, and vice versa. So
yeah, no, I think, but no, I think in general, I think New Jersey overall has had a pretty decent winter in terms of not being hit too hard. So there are, schools that are, yes, they are closing to do those deep cleans, and there's schools that are closing to bring in companies to do deep cleans and things like that. But those definitely count against you. Now, if your school district is going to close, it's going to close because the local health department or the state health department is mandating you to close, right?
Yep.
So, and that is the only time when they deem you to close that you are going to be allowed to do distant learning, basically, whether virtual or you're sending homework or whatever it is. That's the only time that those days will not count against your 180 mandatory instruction days. But that decision is not a decision your Board of Education or your superintendent can make. That is strictly as of right now, it is strictly your local health official, whoever has jurisdiction in your in your district to make that call locally, and the state health department, right? So that's very important to know. The other thing is the Department of Education is mandating all public schools come up with a plan and submit it to them so that plan is on file of continuing the learning. If the decision is made to close your school, there needs to be a 2-week plan in place on what you're going to do.
That's another prerequisite.
Yeah.
You can't just close school and tell everyone to, go get a coloring book.
Yeah, no.
And that's how we're educating our students, right?
Yes.
10 days, that's 2 weeks worth of instruction. That is a lot of time that these students lose.
Yes.
So
in my district right now, what we have begun the process of formulating this plan. We have our documents in place, and we sent over what we're doing. Our teachers, we're asking them to come up with 10 days of lesson plans for remote learning and have that in place just in case, right? We sent home a survey. Asking basically what families don't have a device at home, what families don't have internet at home. So if there's a situation where we're going to need to provide some distant learning, we as a technology department are aware of those families that are going to need resource to be able to do this learning, distant learning from home or whatever. So that's another thing we've done. And this week we have a half day scheduled so that my teachers can sit down and actually prepare out those lesson plans and have those ready in the event. So that's where kind of I am right now. Are you in the same place? What are you doing?
About the same. It's, we're looking at roughly the same thing, and just looking at the news and reading some different articles, it looks like a lot of schools are going down that path.
Yeah.
Whether a full day, some schools are doing full day, half day. They're getting their teachers together. They're getting some lesson plans made, and it's a just in case. It's a just in case. In case of emergency, break glass, we pull out these lessons, and this is what we use.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, teachers are working, everyone else is working. What do technology departments have to do to make sure that we are being resourceful, we're helping our staff, and also helping our community and students?
Well, I'll tell you some of the things I've done already. So, like I said, we've sent out these surveys to survey our families on who has internet, who has a device at home, and who doesn't. So at least that way we can. Unfortunately, in my district, we're not 1-to-1 yet. We actually are going to be 1-to-1 next year. So it was kind of funny. I was joking around with my director today. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a good trial for us if we have to do this for our 1-to-1 program." But it really is. We're making sure that we have everything in place that we need to, if we need to send a device home, because we're still going to be. If we're sending a school device home, that we're filtering, we're monitoring, we still need to have Big Brother forms filled out. We still need to keep track of that device, and so we're sort of kind of being launched into a take-home 1-to-1 program. Not necessarily 1-to-1 because we're going to rely on those students that have devices at home, but for those that don't, we need to make sure we have all the prerequisites in place. So that's the one thing we've been doing. Again, because we're not 1-to-1, we don't have off-site filtering right now. So I was actually on the phone today with my web content filter and talking to them about what can we do if I need to send devices home and devices need to get into the students' hands at their house. How am I filtering those devices and what am I doing? So I had about an hour and a half phone call with a couple engineers from my content filtering company today, and we kind of talked it out. And then I know a lot of vendors are actually doing a lot of things for their customers. Google just gave out what is the Hangouts Premium.
Yeah,
they gave it out to educate to G Suite for education users, the premium business features.
So yeah, what are they gave some good features, and I know a lot of schools are already Google schools. So Google Hangouts features like having, I think it was like up to 250 participants. I'm just looking at my notes. Live streaming for over 100,000 viewers, and the ability to record meetings and save them to Google Drive. So, if your teachers and students are savvy enough, that's a cool way where you can literally do lessons. But I received an email from Cisco today as well, where they're also giving out WebEx for free.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, they are. Well, I mean, I think it's like a limited time offer.
Right.
This is, in my opinion, I think a golden time for some of these companies to come out and say, hey, and due to recent events, we're going to give out our product for free. And then people start using it. They like it. And they're hooked. And then once that trial is over, once all of this passes by, which I'm hoping it does, once all this passes it by, they will they'll then say, hey, this worked great and we should probably buy it and start using it. So what's another vendor have you spoken to or anything that maybe have been giving out some free products or limited time things that they're kind of services?
I don't know anything off the top of my head. I've been getting tons of emails all week about this. I think almost every vendor has sent out something to us about Corona, whether what they're offering, some free services or some additional support or what have you. So I don't know anything specific, because I know the services that I'm using, and which is really just my web filtering and Google. But I mean, if anyone's out there, you have a vendor you're using and you want to share with everyone else, please let us know in the comments, in the posts, wherever you're listening or talking about this podcast, and let's get that conversation going so that we can all take advantage of these opportunities.
This actually is a mini shout out to the K-12 sysadmin Reddit group. Bunch of listeners and comments from that subreddit, and I want to thank everyone on there. I had a couple good conversations and comments from people on there encouraging us, also giving us some ideas. So anyone from out there from the K-12 sysadmin group on Reddit have any other vendors or any other programs or anything out there that is free for schools, please post a comment. I'll post this video. I'll post another thread about this video in our next video, and please leave a comment. Let us know what's out there. I'm interested as well. If there's a product that we've been using, let's do it.
I mean, again, we can only grow and get better and do better if we're sharing information. So yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna, I think that this outbreak is gonna get a little worse before it starts to get better. As much as I don't like to say that,
for me, I feel like I can't predict this. I don't know if the media is overplaying it or if it really is as bad as they say it is.
Well, I think I think it's again, my opinion. I think it's a little overplayed by media,
Okay.
right? But I also think it's because it's so easily spread as compared to other things. I mean, this is you're talking respiratory, right? Literally someone who has it, if they breathe on you or call, you know what I mean. So
Well,
I think it's because it's more easily spread than other
get it.
things in the past.
we'll focus on the tech. On
Yeah,
the tech.
yeah,
That's what we're good at.
I'm no medical professional, that's for sure. I'm a
fix your
computer doctor.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was gonna say a computer joke, but that fits.
But yeah, no, I mean, so let's get those vendors. If you're using a vendor, they've done something for you. I know also, so students that don't have Wi-Fi and internet at home. I know that there's a lot of companies that are the mobile providers and stuff may be doing something special, or may have some special offers for giving hotspots and things like that to students at home so they can at least get internet access. So again, because I haven't gotten to that point in my planning, I don't know. But if you know, do you have anything planned for that?
So, I just want to leave on one last comment on the vendors. I have worked with a couple vendors, and I'm going to be careful. I don't want to specifically shout anyone out, but what I will say is I'm extremely thankful on how quickly everyone has been acting. I understand that everybody's busy right now. Everybody's asking for everything, but I really appreciate how quickly all the turnaround has been going. Everyone's been very supportive, very helpful, and just moving things along.
Yeah.
And I understand working with a school and working with vendors, things take time. But man, I will say I'm really delighted with the vendors that I have worked with.
Yes.
And how quickly they've responded to anything that I've needed and have just been, really quick to the trigger. And once I get the green light to go ahead and they get the green light to go ahead, there has been no hesitation, and I really appreciate that, and I think that's the type of resources that we need at these times.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I was on the phone today with my web content filtering, and it was funny. Like, so yesterday morning, I was talking about it with district administration. Like, okay, I got to get on the phone with my web content filter, and I sat down on my desk, and in the evening, before I could even give them a call, I got an email from them. Hey, what do you need to talk to us about?
People's calendars start opening up.
Yeah, do you need to talk to us about this coronavirus outbreak and how we can help you? If so, let me know. And yeah, let's talk about it. And boom, the next day we're on an hour phone call about it. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. The vendors that I am using and that have reached out to me, or I've reached out to them, they've been very supportive on this. And I think it's a testament to uniformly we're all trying to make sure that the education process still continues. That that's the biggest thing here, right? Is that we don't want to lose any valuable education time for those kids, and that's critical. And I think the schools understand that. I think the Department of Education understands that. I think the state government understands that. I think that's why everyone's kind of ahead of this and doing the best that they can and making all these plans and being really prepared. And I think the vendors, understand that their clients, those educational clients that they have, that's their goal too, and they're really jumping behind them and supporting them. So yeah, definitely big shout out to them on that.
So hot topic, which we kind of went into. I want to get back to, is what do you do with students who don't have internet at home? And something that I have done. Again, I don't want to call out any company. There's a company out there. We had hotspots with them previously. I reached out to them. I said, hey, I might need some more. They started preparing without any information or anything. They started getting the order ready for me, moving along. And so, we haven't decided completely how we're going to be doing that, but
they're literally on standby for that.
Yeah, they're on standby, but man, I understand it is an internet connection to the world, but it is expensive. Yeah. And I think something that we have to be very careful about is anything that you're going to get with a service is most likely going to come with a contract. And so as working in this field, we also have to be fiscally responsible, and that we're not just spending money on a solution that we'll need for possibly a few months, to make sure that whatever you're buying is also going to benefit the district all year long.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when I say making smart decisions is, okay, these hotspots, they're not cheap. It's a cell, not cell, but it is a internet connection. Let's say it's a full blown LTE connection for 3 or 4 devices, whatever the hotspot is, and they're not cheap. They're not cheap. But at what point do you make that decision where do we share them? Do we give them limited time? Do we give them out for a couple days? Do we that's a lot of the hard decisions that I've been trying to brainstorm is, do we do them on a loaner basis? But I would really love to see, some companies out there come up with a
plan.
A plan, something much cheaper. I understand
Short-term plan.
Maybe short-term, long-term. I think the fact that there are people without internet at home today in 2020, it was surprising to me. I don't know if you want to call it ignorance, but the fact that there are such a large number of families at home who do not have an internet connection was a shocker.
So you have a large community that doesn't have internet in your. So I say that because there's two sides to that coin. I definitely know that there's not necessarily in my community, but I definitely know that across the country that there is still a lot of areas that don't have the same type of internet that we have. You got to remember, we're in the tri-state area, one of the most connected parts of the country.
Yeah.
So I am, but at the same time, I am cognizant of the more rural parts of this country where, some of them, believe it or not, still are on dial-up, so, but I guess I'm more interested in your community, because your community is very close to the city, closer than mine. I mean, not that we're so far apart, but you're literally right there on the border.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a huge number, but it was large enough to
shock you.
To shock me.
Okay.
To really take a look and really think like, wow, are there really that many families that don't have this? And that was just a I guess you can call it a wake up call,
Right.
and that even in today's age, there are families who are struggling to have that, and I would really like to see the state, somebody, one of the companies, somebody do something about this. And I know there's a whole bunch of programs and libraries that are trying to give out hotspots, but I think this has been a hot topic in a lot of on the you remember that store?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I got it. It wasn't a funny joke. Keep going.
so it has been a hot topic in a lot of the different forums and groups that I'm in, and the fact that I'm seeing it over and over and over means I'm not the, obviously I'm not the only one, but I'm not the only person who is thinking about this. I'm not the only person who's concerned about this.
Right.
And it's just that there are many other communities and families and people in such a connected world that don't have internet, and it's amazing to see that some of these kids only have internet when they're at school.
Right.
That's just it was a real wake up call for me to see that. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's easy sometimes to forget the impact that technology may have on some students that don't have those same services and opportunities at home. So that's I mean, for me, I mean, we only had 10 families
okay.
of all of our responses, about 10 as of right now, and I mean, we're still conducting the survey and stuff like that. So I wasn't too surprised by that 10, and honestly, my community is very tight knit. A lot of my administrators know some of the families that have responded, and even them were like, maybe they didn't understand that question correctly, or
I got
you
it.
know. So
Okay.
once we're confident that we have a good participation in our survey, we're actually gonna go and confirm and call these families and say, are you really? Did you understand this question? We just want to confirm so that we have it on record. What we're going to do for those families that don't have it, that truly don't have an internet connection, I don't know yet. We haven't gotten to that point in answering that. I think it's going to be really dependent on, how many families it actually is. If let's just say it's 5 or 6 genuinely don't have internet, we may do 5 or 6 hotspots. If, that's not that big of an expense for us to take on to get them up and going. If it's 50 or 60, then we may have to look at other options. So I think you were right in saying you have to kind of, play that balance game of still being fiscally responsible, but providing the best, opportunity you can to handle the situation in whatever way you need to handle it.
Well, this was just an idea that popped in my head. Can Category 2 pay for large broadcast antennas on every school?
You're saying to do
and do free public Wi-Fi, and then obviously do like maybe like a 1 hour session, and you might have to sign in with your student ID, maybe something like a college campus might do.
Mm-hmm.
Can Category 2, and if it doesn't, will the FCC give us money
to do that?
Maybe call it like some other category to do free public Wi-Fi, set up large broadcast antennas. I think for maybe the schools in our area, I can't speak for the rest of the state, probably the rest of the state as well. If you did large broadcast antennas on every building that you own connected to the internet, do it a separate network. If you have Meraki, that's easy peasy. And just literally broadcast free public Wi-Fi.
I mean, as a network
this is like really.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and
out
on
there
on a very high level, it sounds like a very great idea. I as a network guy, I can tell you it's not that clean cut.
Just do a come on.
The network admin is like, you're gonna have service problems here and there. But no, it is an interesting question. Maybe something that we can talk to E-Rate about, like your E-Rate consultant or something like that. And I mean that is an interesting idea to give your students free Wi-Fi. I mean, even if it's in the areas of the school, that's a really interesting question. You see, in my town we have right of way on our poles in our town because we have our own private fiber network. So theoretically, I mean, I'd have to go through the process with Verizon and do the whole make ready and things, but I can mount things on some of my telephone poles too and kind of extend out a little. That's a big project. I don't know, but that's something that I'd be interested to see what E-Rate consultants have to say about that.
E-Rate consultants. I mean that is a large discussion that has to happen. That's many discussions that have to happen because
that's something but that's not something you're going to get in place for a coronavirus response. But that is an interesting idea.
But listen, this isn't the first. This isn't the last, right? Mm-hmm. And as we move to 21st century environment, if there are individuals out there that don't have internet, how valuable is the internet? Like, can you live without the internet for a day?
Can I?
Yeah. Like, forget that you're on vacation or something that you planned. Let's say tomorrow I put you on you lose your phone, you lose your laptop, you have no internet.
Come on, I'm a tech guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, it's just a thought.
It's a thought.
I know it's really out there. It just popped in my head, but I would love to see something like that. Imagine free public Wi-Fi for the state of New Jersey.
I mean, it's not that it's not that out of the box, but I I don't like I said, I don't think this is something you can get in place in time for a corona response. And there's a lot to it. There is a lot to it, but that is an interesting thought. I'd be more interested to see what what your internet providers are gonna how they're gonna feel about that, right? Like you have some internet providers that have Wi-Fi, but it's for their customers, and I'm sure there's some lobbying, if you will, that'll occur there to kind of say, hey, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
But that's what I'm talking about. Like all of these, your ISP, the equipment vendors, the FCC, like all these, there are so many moving parts.
No, there is. But don't forget that these ISPs are in the business because it's a business money, to make money, right? I mean, you're not in a business.
And then if you give free Wi-Fi, then
you're kind of killing what. Yeah. But it's. I'd be interested to have Wi-Fi available throughout the town for students.
Yeah, free public Wi-Fi with a student login.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Just a thought. It just popped in my head.
It's something to think about. I think, but.
So
what? Anything else that you have around Corona right now and preparing?
I think another topic is any tech professional knows how dirty devices are, and so do we clean them? Do we start asking kids to clean their devices at the end of the day, beginning of the day?
Well.
Is that even viable?
I don't know, because what. So we bought these in my district. We purchased like these ultrasonic magnetic anti-disinfectant like sprayer machines.
Okay.
That are, and I haven't seen them yet. I just literally got out of a board meeting maybe 30 minutes ago, and they were talking about it at the board how they just purchased these machines and every school has one, and they're using them and they're very effective and all this stuff. Is that something that we can use on our Chromebooks? Is kind of what I was thinking about walking out of that meeting, because again, we're not 1-to-1 in my district, so we're all
sharing devices.
And we're sharing devices. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thought. Are we cleaning devices, and how are we cleaning devices, and what's the best way to do that if we are?
And is it reasonable? Like,
yeah.
Do you have enough spray bottles for every teacher? Yeah. Or do you have what is it? Is that one of those crazy guns that I've seen on the news?
I have no clue.
Okay. I think it was I forget. I saw on the news, and it's like some crazy gun that they just spray around, and I didn't do too much research into it, but that'd be cool. Just like line up the Chromebooks and you're like and clean them all at the beginning or end of the day. That would be, I think, if schools do have to close and a deep clean does have to happen, that's, I think, in my opinion, that's a huge area
thing to consider.
Yeah, that needs to be completely disinfected, top to bottom, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So those are just a couple topics.
I'm literally taking notes as you're saying, like, disinfect Chromebook, because that's stuff I didn't think about, but yeah.
So vendors, I commend them. Students taking home devices, offsite filtering. Make sure if you're doing Google Hangouts for your students, this is, for me, how I interpret SIPA law. SIPA law is written in a specific way. If you're going to enable Google Hangouts for your students, make sure you have some type of monitoring. Mm-hmm. Just putting it out there. Mm-hmm. So, Wi-Fi or
internet
access for families at home, providing staff resources so that they can create those lesson plans, cleaning your devices. These are just some of the main things that we've been going out have been, like, I think when was it released? Friday that it started hitting the news, I think, or Thursday, Friday, Monday. It's literally everything. That's all we've really been dealing with. So anyone has any questions, comments, post them, because we're reading them and we're doing it.
Yeah. And real quick, if you're on the administrative side, you're a superintendent or a principal. My superintendent did this. Reach out to your local health official and just say, hey, just have that conversation with them. Just to be prepared from that perspective. Make sure that they they understand that you're going to be looking to them to make that call, right? Again, that's not a call you can make. They have to make that call. You're going to be looking for their guidance. My local health official, my superintendent, had a phone conversation today. They talked about, what the risks are and where we are at right now. Fortunately, in my district, the risks are extremely, extremely low. That can change. Not saying that that's what it is going to be tomorrow, but right now we're in a real good position according to our local health officials. But they exchanged cell phone numbers, and they said, you know what? If anything, you call me. If I hear anything, I'll call you. So have that line of communication. And I think planning and preparedness is just going to be the key here in responding the most appropriately. So if you're doing anything special that we haven't talked about, definitely let us know. Again, if you know any vendors that have done something special or are offering something to schools to kind of help them in preparing for distant learning or anything related to that, definitely let us know, and we'll talk about more, because like I said, I don't think this is gonna go away in a couple days. I think we're going to be talking about this in the next couple episodes, at least giving people updates, and we'll definitely share whatever knowledge you throw at us back out to everyone else.
But not every episode.
No, not every episode.
I'm ready for this to pass, man. I am ready.
Me too.
I want some exciting stuff. So.
Yeah, get back into the servers and switches and access points.
Free public Wi-Fi.
I want to talk more about that. We're gonna have an episode to talk about this public Wi-Fi, because that's an interesting idea.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Well, for now, thanks for tuning in. And remember, you can find this weekly podcast on all of the major podcasting platforms and on YouTube. And on YouTube.
And on you.
And on YouTube. When do we release our episodes? Every Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. If you'd like any more information about this or future episodes, some of our past episodes, make sure you visit our website, www.techandedmedia.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Tech and Ed Media. And thanks for your support and listening in.
Thank you.